What's up, wrestling world, and welcome back to another edition of WOTR, the remix. This episode is WrestleMania week in review. Yeah, before I get into the show, I just want to give a special shout out to Ravi K for always showing support and always checking out. He was a regular viewer of the show. Happy belated birthday, and thank you for watching. And what up, Doug? Now, back to the episode. This episode, we're going to do some reviews of wrestling, or sorry, not wrestling. I was going to say WrestleCon, but I mean WrestleMania, but also WrestleCon. We're going to smash them into one and call it just a nice wrestling weekend. We're going to go over that. Plus, I got you a new What Moves You plus results of the last one. And actually, I need to say this. I'm not going to put no disclaimers out there. I know you guys see this. My hair is actually blue. It might look green because of my green screen and the effects. I can't figure it out, but it's losing color and now it's turning green. So I'm not putting no disclaimers out there. You're going to see my hair mess up through this whole episode. So just beware, okay? You guys can laugh, but don't mention nothing about my hair in the comments. I'm sensitive about my do. Anyways, going on to the episode here. Yeah, that's right. We're going to do a new What Moves You. Also give you results of the last matchup. Talk about wrestling. And we're also going to be talking for Rich Talks. We're going to talk about the state of pro wrestling and are you guys satisfied and if you guys enjoy it or not, and tell me what your complaints are and I'll give you my complaints because that's all I do is complain. Anyway, sit back and enjoy the show, and yeah, let's get into it with the review of WrestleMania week. End. So in my 32 years of watching wrestling and actually being a wrestling fan, this was the best WrestleMania weekend ever. I mean, it's not just WrestleMania alone that made it special, but WrestleCon took over wrestling and had over 8 wrestling events this weekend. But it was actually GCW who solidified their spot in the pro wrestling industry with the GCW Collective, a 12 wrestling show event over three days. So let's talk action. Well, X-Pac looking good and in shape. Unfortunately, he got injured, but we know he'll be okay. Mox is Mox and wrestled 3 matches in 24 hours and still wanted more. Biff Busick spilled his blood everywhere. Seriously, like everywhere. Mike Bailey kicked it in 7 matches this weekend. And then Bandito earned tips with Mike Bailey in their match, so you know the crowd loved it. Let me rephrase that. Johnny WrestleCon lost to his wife in a good housekeeping match, or a bad dishes match, or whatever you want to call it. And then we have Jody Threat, who earned her first victory in Mission Pro Wrestling. And then Trish Adora and Thunder Rosa needs to run it back and give us 2 more, at least. Slamovich and Snow gave me body aches in their match. And Lufisto and Holidead went all out. You know, them girls are crazy. Joey Janela and Iffy had a rough weekend. They gave out some ass beatings and got their ass kicked too. And then ROH got swerved in his house, while Wheeler Utah earned some pure gold to get into the Blackpool Combat Club. Minoru Suzuki finally earned his first major American championship and wrestled 6 times. Yeah, 6 times this weekend. Mercedes Martinez is an intern women's champion. Congratulations, Mercedes. And then Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt are just punks and disgust me. No honor. Jonathan Grisham is the undisputed foundation in ROH, while FTR and Dem Boys tore it up and had the match of the whole weekend. Trust me, it was match of the weekend. Also, Dem Boys were actually the busiest tag team this weekend, performing all over in different promotions and different matches. There was a multiverse of matches. That was actually incredible. And also Stand and Deliver did not deliver. But of course, the whole purpose of this weekend was WrestleMania 38. The 2-day special was actually decent. I mean, the EST of WWE definitely went big time. Ronda can't hang with the Queen, but it was a nice attempt though. I'll give it up to her. Glow Boss is what I call them, beat 3 other teams to come out victors, while a Jackass beat a former IC champion. And then Mr. McMahon wrestled Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee kicked ass with Austin Theory. And then Austin Theory gave his best Scott Hall impersonation while taking a stunner from Stone Cold. And then speaking of stunners, KO and Stone Cold did not disappoint. But you know who did disappoint? Your tribal chief. Oh no, he's not my tribal chief. He's your tribal chief, as he easily beat Brock in a squash match, is what I call it. There was something fishy about that match, but I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but we'll see in coming weeks. To me, the best match of WrestleMania involved an AEW former EVP. Yeah, Cody versus Seth Rollins was actually a 5-star match. Ain't that right, Dave? Sure, 5-star match. Now, as I said before, this was the best weekend in wrestling, or for wrestling, in the past 2.5 years. Well, at least for me. Trust me, I was exhausted. I drank more coffee than water this weekend. I slept about 19 hours in 4 days. Honestly, it was actually worth it to me. People might be like, yo, Rich, you're crazy. And no, I'm not. There's actually people out there performing on less than what I went through just to wrestle. So the least I can do from where I am is just watch it and show appreciation. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Hey, Ontario, need something to do this month of April? Well, check out these dates of wrestling action here in our province. I honestly don't understand what's happening in wrestling right now. To me, the only thing that makes sense is that New Japan Pro Wrestling is not working with any of the 4 major American promotions. So good for them. Stay away until shit gets figured out, because shit's a fucking mess. Okay, we got GCW, or Game Changer Wrestling, and it's just that, a game changer. They put on shows almost every weekend, and sometimes it's not just one show, multiple shows. They are really something special, with like death matches to intergender death matches. And they also partner up with smaller promotions that don't get the nationwide recognition that they deserve. And they also get them involved into a new fan base. GCW sponsors companies that do all women events, all black wrestling events, LGBTQ shows that are for everyone. So I have no complaints about this. And if you do, you're not welcome on my show. All right. GCW is it, man. It's fire. And if you don't know it, you should be watching some GCW shows. All right, now moving on to the big boy. WWE is confusing and pure stupidness to me. I'm going to start off with NXT 2.0, which is a failure. Braun Breaker can't wrestle a good match, but he's a 2-time NXT champion. Okay, you change the name of the 2 most dominant champions in recent years to a former Nazi lieutenant for one, and the other one is given the Scrappy-Doo gimmick. You know, let me at him, let me at him. Walter and Pete Dunne were fine. Not to mention that Veer has been on his way to Raw for over 6 months. Literally, the man walked from India to get here. That's what took him so long. And there's nothing special for dude. Like, honestly, expect him to be released in about a month or so. Then we got the Mania. And for Mania, I mean, you had the 2 most prestigious titles that weren't even on the show. So there's no point for them. Now they're just like network titles, like TBS and the TNT titles. But they're actually more prestigious than that. So what's the point? I don't know. Then there's the women's division, which has no direction right now. I mean, you got Ronda over Bayley and Asuka, which is a bad move. So dumb. And the best thing for this division right now is that Becky and Charlotte and Belair are saving them from drowning. Honestly, they are. Corey Graves and Carmella are being forced on the fans, and it's disgusting. Corey Graves' subliminal racist and sexist jokes are fine for Vince, but there is audiences out there that do pick them up. And he's not just a heel announcer, and it doesn't make it okay. He says some stupid shit, and it can't be okay. But it is. Anyways, now the biggest issue and situation in pro wrestling right now, the Cody Rhodes situation. I just don't understand the point of this. Why help make a better alternative WWE show with better pro wrestling and everything else, only to abandon it? 7 years ago, Cody was nothing. He got better in his time that he left WWE. He created his own opportunities. He became an NWA heavyweight champion just like his pops, a former IWGP United States champion, an ROH champion, and a bunch of indie titles. All that in under 7 years. So this WWE run is what for your legacy, Cody? You're trying to win something your dad never won because Vince didn't believe in him and because of his appearance. And take this in, Cody. Roman will never let you come near those championships at all. So this is pointless. I mean, it can't be money. Unless it is, then cool. But to me, this move buries AEW. Now it's a joke company. Imagine Sting signing with WWE in 97. I mean, in 97, there was a lot of wrestlers in line for opportunities. Sting would have been part of the mix, only be put into the bottom and eventually forgotten. Think about it. So I don't get it. I mean, I'm done with Cody, but it's a slap in the face to fans like me who believed everything he said 6 years ago. And when the first AEW show happened, you let me down, dude. You let me down. But good for you, though, in your WWE return. Good for you, man. I hope you make it better than what I expect it's going to be. Prove me wrong, Cody. Prove me wrong. Now, NWA. NWA is so old school, they're going to stay old school. I mean, they perform in a studio with 20 paid fans in attendance. Very sad for an actually decent wrestling show. I mean, they got some good stuff that can be worked with if they just did it a lot better instead of going old school. Like everything about it, from the refs to the commentators to performers, is so 1980s. I can't make it through a whole NWA show without taking a nap for 6 minutes. I think NXT and NWA should switch directions. Then we got Major League Wrestling. MLW is actually putting on consistent good wrestling shows and has the potential of being on the Impact Wrestling level. I mean, those two companies deserve more recognition than they have. Then you have New Japan Pro Wrestling, is still one of my favorite wrestling companies and promotions, and they're doing their own thing. I mean, their storylines are nationwide, are worldwide, not just Japan. They're worldwide, and they can easily be followed, even if it's in Japanese or English commentary, thanks to Kevin and Chris. And then now let's talk about Ring of Honor being purchased by Tony Khan and AEW. Smart move. Smart move by them, and thank you for saving pro wrestling. If it was bought over by WWE, I don't think Ring of Honor would have done good in the sports entertainment business. But you know what? I get it. It's before the purchase, if you were a champion in Ring of Honor and you competed in AEW, you weren't allowed to bring that championship. But now with this whole mix-up and or this whole bought over thing, ROH champion are being advertised on AEW shows. AEW's advertising ROH shows. ROH advertising AEW shows. To me, it's kind of confusing. It's not a bad thing, but I just feel like they should be kept separate and deserve their own promoting time. Like ROH, do your ROH thing. AEW, do your AEW thing. Unless you're going to smash them together and make it one big roster, everybody needs to compete everywhere on both shows or both promotions. And championships need to be brought out on both promotions. You know, just needs to be like that. But to be honest, it's not a big deal. It's not a big issue. I'm not really complaining here. I'm just stating the obvious and things I just noticed. So I actually do like everything that ROH is doing with AEW, except for the whole mix-up thing. But unless they mix it up permanently, then it's good to continue that. But if you don't and you only did it for this week, then it's like a bad move. You're back to WWE shit. But yeah, like I said, no issue there. So with everything that I just said and everything that you already know, are you satisfied with the direction that pro wrestling is going right now? Please let us know in the comments. All right, time for the main event. What moves you? Last matchup was about the Spanish Fly. So take a look at the contenders. John Morrison, Will Ospreay, Sammy Guevara, Nomichi Marufuji. All right, and the results are in. And with 33%, it's actually a tie. Will Ospreay and Sammy G won. To me, I picked Will Ospreay. I love his Spanish Flies. They're awesome. Sammy Guevara does wicked Spanish Flies too. So everybody that voted, thank you so much. Now for this matchup. Wait, actually, before I get into the matchup, I just want you guys guys to know that Twitter took down my poll. So if you guys were looking for this poll on Twitter, I apologize. I'll keep an eye on it next time and see if Twitter takes it down again, and I'll repost it. I don't understand why they took it down. But yeah, speaking of the new matchup for this week or for this episode is the Code Red or the Canadian Destroyer. And I know everybody's out there saying, oh, there's a difference. There's a big difference. Well, actually, the big difference is the only difference is that the Code Red, you wrap your legs around your opponent's arms, and the Canadian Destroyer, you kind of set your opponent up as if you're doing a pile driver or a power bomb. Both in a rotation, swing and rotation, all that stuff. To me, there actually is no difference. To me, they're the same. Just position on the legs doesn't really make it a biggie. So yeah, Code Red, Canadian Destroyer, all in one. To me, it's one move. Who does it better out of these four? Now take a look at the matchup. Amazing Red. John Cena.
And now John Cena's got an opportunity.
Petey Williams. Dustin Rhodes. I'm telling you, those are great contenders for the Code Red / Canadian Destroyer. Amazing Red is dubbed the inventor of the move, actually. And Dustin Rhodes is officially the oldest person to perform this move. And then 5-Move John made it his 6th move. So now he's 6-Move John. And Petey Williams revamped it into the Canadian Destroyer, which everybody is doing now to this day. So yeah, you pick the winner. You decide who did it better and who does it better and all that. Make sure y'all vote in the comments below. And if you do see this poll on Twitter, you could vote there, vote on Facebook, vote on Instagram, vote anywhere you see this. All right. And this episode was actually a blast to work on. WrestleMania weekend or the week was phenomenal. I want to say thank you guys for watching.